Today on Am I the Jerk, we have a submission. You can submit your own stories via the links down below in the description if you'd like one of them to maybe be featured here on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications turned on by hitting the bell, follow Am I the Jerk on Instagram, and check out the podcast. But for now, let's jump straight into it. I banged my husband's friend while he watched. He then left me and told everyone that I cheated on him, and now I'm pregnant. My husband and I have 2 kids, ages 2 and 4. We were married when I was pregnant with the 4-year-old and have been together for just over 5 years total. About 6 months ago, my husband asked me to do the deed with another man in front of him while he watched. I was not 100% comfortable with this, but he asked a few times and eventually I agreed. I had a couple of rules, like whoever he found must have a recent and clean STI test because my husband didn't want to use rubber protection. I was on birth control all the time, and he had to set it all up. And that was the extent of my involvement until the event itself. He went out and found a friend that was willing to do it. My husband said he was sure he wanted this. He begged me to go through with it. I did. And he left within a week, citing this as his reason. He's now telling anyone who will listen that the friend and I cheated. The friend told the truth, but obviously nobody believes my husband would ask his friend to do this with me. When someone asks me about it, I tell them the truth, but no one believes me either. I've been cut off from my friend's family due to this, and my husband is not currently in contact with me or the kids. The kids have been cut off as well, which is hurting them. Most have just gone silent on me, but the few who have reached out have not been kind. It was our younger child's birthday a few days ago, and we arranged to do something with just family, grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, all dad's side, and no one came. My brother ended up dropping by, but that was a surprise as he wasn't invited, as I'm low to no contact with most of my family. So my kids have primarily interacted with their dad's family, and that's the side they're more attached to. It's been about 4.5 to 5 months since doing the deed with a friend happened, and about a month ago, I found out that I am pregnant. I did the deed plenty of times with my husband, both before and after this event with his friend, but the fact that I also did the deed with his friend and then my only protection has clearly failed, the birth control, that cannot be overlooked. I'm now starting to show signs of pregnancy. I need to know who the father is. My husband isn't speaking to me, not even to discuss a divorce or the kids, and I don't even know where he's living right now. But if I ask the friend to get tested and my husband finds out, this whole situation becomes significantly worse. There are a couple of aspects I need help with, so I'd be grateful for any help on any of them. First off, what do I do about my husband's family, who the kids adore and really want to speak to? Then, what do I do about my husband, who is ignoring our kids? What do I do about the baby? Do I talk to the friend first or to my husband first? Neither of them? Both of them? What is the safest way to go about all of this? Then, there's an update from the future that says, I went for a DNA test and it ran against the cheek swab for my 2-year-old, and the results suggest that they are full siblings. I told my husband, who said he will be arranging his own paternity test. I called the solicitor and we're trying to start legal proceedings. Unfortunately, I live in a country with very specific rules around divorce, so the easiest way to end my marriage would be if my husband filed for divorce claiming that I cheated. It is still possible for me to apply for divorce, but it's more complicated as he hasn't been gone long enough to claim desertion. And he also hasn't done anything divorce-worthy in the eyes of the law, so I'm leaving the specifics to my legal rep and hoping that they can sort it out. But we informed my husband and we're kind of hoping he files first on the grounds of adultery. While adultery shouldn't affect the outcome of the divorce when it comes to splitting assets and custody, though my legal reps are checking our prenup and 50-50 custody is the norm here, I do intend to go for full custody as he has ignored the kids since he left, and even when he was here, I was by far the more involved parent. When I told him that I was pregnant, which was after I told him about my plot for divorce, he sent me several messages saying that he forgives me for cheating and wants to be a family. I had asked his friend to contact Snapchat to recover the old messages in which my husband asked him to do the deed with me. And when I went to ask him for an update, the friend appeared to have blocked me. I have also received roses from my husband with a note reiterating that he forgives me, he loves me, and he loves the kids, and that he wants to make this work for the baby. I don't even know where he got my new address. As he has not offered an alternative explanation, at this point, I'm going with the general consensus on my last post before the update, which is that my husband has manipulated me into cheating on him so that he can divorce me while getting as much sympathy as possible. New developments suggest that the baby has ruined this plan. I'm also assuming that if the paternity test test shows the baby isn't his, he will divorce me. Though based on the siblingship test, this baby is his, which means my marital status is in the hands of a total jerk. This is the absolute most roundabout way to divorce someone, to make them go through all of this, to put them in experiences they clearly do not want to do, only to ultimately get what you want, which I guess is divorce if that's what the husband actually wanted, at the expense of what sounds like a pretty humiliating experience for the OP. I mean, she has to go in front of his family and they all think that she cheated on him when it sounds like she wasn't even the one that wanted to do this. According to what he said, he had to beg her to do this and that he was completely sure he wanted to do it. I believe it, but it just seems hard to imagine that he could have derived this entire plan just to go through and get a divorce with her, and the most efficient way, maybe that's what it was. Legally, this is the best way to do it, but what a horrible way to go about it. I think one thing that maybe is just as likely is that he thought that this is what he wanted for some reason, and then when he did it, or rather when she did it, everything fell apart and he had a full mental collapse on the whole situation, realizing that actually, no, he did not want this, and maybe he can't see his wife the same after this whole dark experience. But I mean, it is pretty wild that he would just totally flip on his wife and pretend like he never said that. I mean, who can go and say a very point blank direct statement, I want you to do this, you go through this whole process, and then you claim that you never said that? That is pretty wild. So going back to the OP's original questions, what do I do about the husband's family? What do I do about my husband? What do I do about the baby? Do I talk to the friend first or my husband? When it comes to all of those things, what would you tell a friend that was in a situation like that? Let me know down below. Am I the jerk for flipping out on my husband for canceling my job interview? In 2019, I can no longer work because of my physical disabilities. No company wanted to hire me for the past couple of years, and my husband said that it's better that I just stay home and not worry about working. I agreed, and he's become the breadwinner. Then, it's like a switch that flipped because chores were 50-50, but after I lost my job, they became 100% on me. Keep in mind, my physical disabilities that developed. His excuse for not doing anything to help is that I stay home 24/7. I told him that's not fair, especially since I suffered from physical discomfort, so he made me a deal and promised that everything will be 50-50 once I start working again. I told him I would find a job, and he laughed and said, good luck. I remember this vividly because of the strange laugh that I never heard him laugh before. I started looking for a job again for months, but had no luck until my friend's husband found me a potential job at a company that would have me work from home due to physical strains. I was so excited and felt like I was capable again despite the struggle. They scheduled an interview with me, and when I told my husband, he looked red in the face but said nothing. 2 days ago, I found out that my job interview got canceled. I found out when my friend reached out to ask why I did that, but I said I had no idea. I checked my email and found nothing because I didn't send anything to the company. My husband came home and admitted canceling the interview. I asked why, and he said that this job had lots of requirements and I didn't seem to be accepted there, so to spare me the heartache of being rejected, he just canceled the interview. I flipped out on him and told him that he destroyed my one and only chance at landing a job, but he said he was just feeling concerned about my well-being. I told him he probably didn't want me to work because he didn't want to split the house chores, and he seemed offended by that. He threw a fit about how unreasonable and how selfish I was to even consider a job without speaking to him first. I told him I don't get involved in his work life. He called me horrible for accusing him of bad intentions, then went out to meet his friends, probably to vent because one of them told me that my husband is out looking for me, but I was being cruel to him by yelling. He has been cold shouldering me since then, deleted my social media accounts, claiming they're bad for my mental health because of the negative effect some of those platforms have. So am I the jerk for yelling at him because he canceled my job interview? This guy seems like he has some serious control issues. There's actually a little line before this entire post starts where it says this is a new account because he deleted my main account. So he even deleted the account that she would be posting from, so she had to make a new account to type this. Yeah, this entire thing seems like a red flag, but it is strange that if this whole entire thing is just to have her do the chores, I mean, why is he that afraid of doing chores? He would rather get into this whole entire situation where he's canceling her job interviews and basically trying to keep her from leaving the situation where she by default has to do all the chores in the house. I'm assuming the OP didn't want to get a job because she didn't want to do 100% of the chores, but maybe that had some small part of the role. I'm sure she just probably wanted to have a job because people tend to want to have jobs, but this particular job seems like something that's bad to have messed up because it would have allowed her to work from home, and it sounds like it would have worked around around all of her disabilities, which would have been potentially a really rare thing to find, somebody to accommodate all that for you. So let me know what you guys think down below, jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for speaking highly of my boyfriend's exes when he tries to make me feel insecure by talking about them? I said early on in my relationship with my boyfriend that I don't care to talk about past relationships or past hookup partners. I understand everyone has a past, but I don't care to get into detail. And I felt like a few times he'd tell me about exes in a way just to make me feel jealous or insecure in comparison. For example, subtly mentioning that they would do stuff in bed that I don't enjoy a few days after I'd say no to something, or comparing me unfavorably to them. Anyway, I decided that I wasn't going to let anyone make me feel less secure myself. So whenever my boyfriend would speak positively of them, I'd speak even more highly. For example, when he'd mention an ex who had a thorough beauty treatment, I'd say something like, "Wow, she must be so smart to find the best things that work for her. All my friends who got really into skincare have such a good understanding of chemistry and biology, even though skincare is often looked down upon for being girly. What does she study again? Oh, marketing? Wow, she must really understand people well, really know what makes people tick to do that. That's so impressive. Where's she work now? Oh, you don't keep in touch? That's a shame. I would have loved to meet her. She sounds so wonderful. Wait, what? She wasn't a good person, but you always speak so highly of her. Well, everyone can make mistakes, but I'm sure she's good at heart." This would, of course, irritate him because he felt that this ex of his wasn't a very good person and that there were reasons they broke up, and I was just gushing about how cool she was. Another time, he mentioned having dated a wealthy girl in high school. He also mentioned another time how she joined the Peace Corps for a few years after college, and whenever he'd bring her up again, I talk about how cool she sounded, how big of a leap of faith it must be from being in a very privileged life to setting all luxuries aside to do good in the world, and he started getting irritated with me saying that she cheated on him. And I said that they were young, people grow and change, and maybe he doesn't need to hold on to that much resentment about a girl he dated in his teens and early 20s. Anyway, after I stopped engaging in competition or resentment between women, he stopped bringing up other women in a way that seemed to be intended to foster competition. I also felt better about myself. I personally believe that envy isn't a productive thing to engage in. You'll get much further in life by reaffirming it as admiration and respect. He was also angry that I spoke of his exes who he had bad or upsetting breakups with in the way that I'd speak of a dear friend who I admire. And I feel a little petty and passive-aggressive for having done that. So, am I the jerk for speaking highly of my boyfriend's exes? This actually sounds kind of genius. I'm sort of surprised that it worked. Somehow I never would have visualized this actually being a thing that would make him stop talking about other girls in this type of way, but it does make sense because in some way he's trying to have the cake and eat it too. He's trying to pick and choose the good parts of her, apply them to the OP, but leave out the bad parts of the ex because obviously he doesn't want the OP to copy the bad parts of the ex, the parts where she went and cheated or she was doing things that he didn't like and didn't want to be around. But all of that is kind of communicated in the non-verbal communication, the subtext of it all, and it sounds like the OP is being clever enough to purposely misunderstand what he's saying, maybe not in the exact words, but in the sentiment of how he's trying to bring it up, because he's trying to do exactly what she's saying. He's trying to breed some sort of weird competitiveness between her, the girl that's in front of him, the OP, and somebody else in the past who is just a collection of memories at this point, it sounds like. The top response from this whole thing said, "What you did not only makes you the opposite of a jerk, it honors the women he was trying to pitch you against, who in many cases were probably put through the same nonsense by his misogynistic desire to make women feel that they have to compete for his attention and approval. You went low and you took the high road. He tried to bait you and you took the bait and made a gourmet dinner out of it and served it back to him with a big old smile on your face." Yeah, so all in all, a pretty clever way to respond to something like that, but then you have to ask yourself the question, do you even really want to be with someone who would do that to you in the first place to make you feel this type of way at all? That you would have to come up with a response like this? Let me know down below in the comments, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, don't forget to hit that bell to get notifications. Check out the Instagram linked down below at Am I the Jerk? If you're more of a podcast type of person, there's also the podcast available on all platforms. And if you have stories of your own that you'd like to share here on the channel, you're welcome to do that down below as well. But either way, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.